Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grumpy Snail podcast with your host, me, the Prince of the Punks, the uncancelable Jonathan Snyder, here again. Another great podcast following an awesome, busy, news-filled week. It's been pretty busy. A lot of things happen. We're going to try to get to everything. You guys don't know, but I almost always forget some big story, and it always never makes it into the podcast. I always miss something, and it just happens. I'll probably miss something this time too. If you like these videos, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure that you share this video on all your social media if you want to. If not, you don't have to. Make sure that you comment down below. If I screw something up, if you want to call me out on something, put it in the comments. Let everybody know what kind of a screw-up liar I am. Tell everybody. Or, if you want to send a long form, you can always send us an email at grumpysnailpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll answer emails there. Awesome. Great. You notice this week, Coke stock, Coca Cola stock, took a dive. Yep. They dropped about $5 billion after the soccer player Cristiano Ronaldo told people to drink water instead of Coke. Because, you know, water's healthy and Coke is filled with not even sugar, which is a natural substance, which, you know, the body needs, but this nasty high fructose corn syrup stuff made from all that corn that the government subsidizes out to these farms. So, yeah, so don't drink Coke. Drink water.
Coca Cola is getting political, attacking Georgia's popular voting law. Why? To distract from years of dismal sales, terrible 2020 results, reports suspecting they benefited from forced labor in China. Coca-Cola products are poisoning America's youth and worsening the obesity epidemic. So the company tried funding phony science to minimize the harms, but they got busted. James Quincy, Coca-Cola. Stop poisoning our children. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Of course, this week Joe Biden has been out at the G7 summit. You know, just being his old geezer self. Just kind of shuffling around, messing stuff up, making himself look a fool. We got some of that for you right here.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get in trouble with staff if I don't do this the right way. Jennifer Jacob, Bloomberg.
Just a minute.
And the President of South Africa.
And the President of South Africa, as I said earlier.
Oh, you did?
I did not. I certainly did.
And then if I could just...
Let's go, you guys. Come on, press. We're going to move out. Let's go, press. Let's go. Come on, press. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Crisis at the border, sir. Let's go, you guys. Come on.
We could work together with Russia. For example, in Libya, we should be opening up the passes to be able to go through and provide food assistance and vital assistance to a population that's in real trouble. I think I'm going to try very hard to. And by the way, there's places where I shouldn't be starting off and negotiating in public here, but let me say it this way. Russia has engaged in activities which we believe are contrary to international norms, but they have also bitten off some real problems they're going to have trouble chewing on. And for example, the rebuilding of Syria, of Libya, this is...
How are your meetings going in Cornwall, Mr. President?
I beg your pardon?
How are your meetings going here in Cornwall?
Very well.
Come on.
I know you all know, but a lot of people may not know what COVID is.
In a weekend interview, Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that still your belief, sir, that he is a killer?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that
Yes, sirree, Bob. He sat there and talked about how everything's an embarrassment. The entire country is an embarrassment to the world, and really, I think it's just the president that's an embarrassment. But we're going to move on from there. Would like to also at this time thank our sponsor, American Airlines.
American Airlines, rated the worst, losing the most bags, shrinking legroom during COVID. American requires passengers to show ID to fly, but attacks Texas's popular voter ID law. Why is CEO Doug Parker trying to appease the radical left? To distract from billions in taxpayer bailouts, from his $10 million payday, from Americans' record layoffs. Doug Parker, American Airlines. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Something else that happened this week is The Late Show with Stephen Colbert returned back to live television. Is it live? Is it shot live? I don't know. I don't watch it because it's garbage. But back in front of a studio audience, I guess, this whole time it's just been shot in Stephen Colbert's basement or whatever. Who knows? This stuff. But thank God Jon Stewart was a guest back. And I really miss Jon. He was awesome. It's unfortunate that that we have all the late talk show hosts that we have, and Jon Stewart isn't one of them because he's hilarious, he's intelligent, and even though he comes from the left side politically, he just seems like a genuine guy and is a straight shooter, and the people don't like that. The propaganda machine does not like that. They gotta push their agenda. And so, when Jon Stewart mentioned lab leak theory and how most likely that this COVID pandemic was started from a Wuhan, China virus lab, he took some hits for it. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. We like you, Jon. We love you. Please come back. Please. And a lot of people reported this. A lot of people. One of my new not favorite. I don't know, maybe favorite. I don't know. I haven't listened to him. Been listening to him for like 2 weeks, maybe, or so. One of my new favorite podcasts is Breaking Points with Crystal and Cigar. I heard about them on Megyn Kelly's show. They were on Megyn Kelly's show. And then this week they were on Joe Rogan, of course. And their podcast has just been shooting like up the ranks. They're ranked like second or something, or third in all the podcasts or some nonsense. It's great for them because, you know, they aren't held down by sponsors. They run an independent show and they tell the truth right down the center, not left, not right, the truth, and I love it. I love seeing news commentary that is based on truth and not some biased propaganda, whether it be left or right side. But one of the big things that they talked about on their podcast this week, and I believe Megyn Kelly mentioned this, and actually it's all over the place, was this. See, I don't watch Fox News or CNN, any of those propaganda channels to get my information because they don't tell the truth. But there was an interesting segment on Tucker Carlson this week talking about the January 6th riot or coup attempt that took place at the Capitol. and how the FBI kind of ties into it. Check this out. Here's a little segment of it.
So because of January 6th, says the chief law enforcement officer in the United States of America and many other members of Joe Biden's cabinet, we must now use law enforcement and military force to arrest, imprison, and otherwise crush anyone who leads opposition to Joe Biden's government. That's their position. They say that out loud. They did today. And speaking of January 6th, why are there still so many things, basic factual matters, that we don't understand about that day? Why is the Biden administration preventing us from knowing? Why is the administration still hiding more than 10,000 hours of surveillance tape from the U.S. Capitol on January 6th? What could possibly be the reason for that? Even as they call for more openness, we need to get to the bottom of it. They could release those tapes today, but they're not. Why? We know that the government is hiding the identity of many law enforcement officers who were present at the Capitol on January 6th, not just the one who killed Ashley Babbitt. According to the government's own court filings, those law enforcement officers participated in the riot, sometimes in violent ways. We know that because, without fail, the government has thrown the book at most people who were present in the Capitol on January 6th. There was a nationwide dragnet to find them, and many of them are still in solitary confinement tonight. But strangely, some of the key people who participated on January 6th have not been charged. Look at the documents. The government calls those people unindicted co-conspirators. What does that mean? Well, it means that in potentially every single case, they were FBI operatives. Really? In the Capitol on January 6th. For example, one of those unindicted co-conspirators is someone government documents identify only as Person 2. According to those documents, Person 2 stayed in the same hotel room as a man called Thomas Caldwell, an insurrectionist, a man alleged to be a member of the group the Oath Keepers. Person 2 also, quote, stormed the barricades at the Capitol on January 6th alongside Thomas Caldwell. The government's indictments further indicate that Caldwell, who, by the way, is a 65-year-old man, this dangerous insurrectionist, was led to believe there would be a, quote, quick reaction force also participating on January 6th. That quick reaction force, Caldwell was told, would be led by someone called Person 3, who had a hotel room and an accomplice with him. But wait, here's the interesting thing. Person 2 and Person 3 were organizers of the riot. The government knows who they are, but the government has not charged them.
Yeah, so we're talking about some borderline conspiracy theory nonsense, but I would not put it past the FBI or any government policing organization to be doing this, because this has been done in the past for other terrorist organizations, such as like Muslim terrorist organization, just any terrorist organizations. The FBI has a history of infiltrating those organizations and pushing people to create, lash out, and perpetrate these attacks. And then at the last second, the FBI swoops in and wrecks the thing, and they champion the whole thing, be like, yeah, we stopped this. I mean, we saw it in the Gretchen Whitmer attempted kidnap. So where one of the actual people going to attempt to kidnap this governor was an FBI informant, and I wouldn't be one bit surprised, not one bit, if that was the case here. If all these right-leaning organizations such as the Proud Boys, 3%ers, all those people don't have not just FBI informants but agents themselves in those organizations, just to push them, so they can be busted. I mean, the whole situation is kind of sketchy, especially with now Biden's coming out and we're talking about just cracking down on domestic terrorism. And I know that we're just talking about white nationalists, but that's not what it's going to be. It's going to be anybody who speaks out against their agenda and just the government. Anybody that speaks out against Biden or Kamala or just any of it, any government intervention into society. So, anybody criticizing the government you're going to have to watch out, because we know, because of Edward Snowden, that they're tapped in to every bit of your life, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get away from it unless you're off grid, and good luck. Good luck getting off grid. But thanks to our sponsor, Nike.
Nike is constantly political. Why? Cover. Congressional reports suspect Nike used forced labor in China. Religious minorities were ripped from their families, sterilized, sold to factories. Nike made shoes in those same areas. Congress tried to ban Nike's labor practices. Nike fought back with highly paid lobbyists. Rather than hiring Americans, Nike chose China. John Donahoe, Nike. Stop exploiting foreign labor. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Yeah, so there's a big national conversation about CRT, and if you don't know what that is, it's critical race theory. But it's not just critical race theory. It's just critical theory in general. Whether we're talking about critical gender theory, critical race theory, it's just the whole big push to be tolerant and woke for everything, and there's a lot of pushback from parents saying that they don't want their kids taught this. And, we got some of that here for you right now.
CRT is racist. It is abusive. It discriminates against one's color. We don't want your political advertisement to divide our children or belittle them.
You have materials that you're providing where it says if you were born a white male, you were born an oppressor. You are abusing our children.
The DEI program is a Trojan horse that will bring in a slippery slope. A slippery slope that will ultimately end in critical race theory, white repentance, and the McDonaldization of America's students.
Please get back to just teaching our children math, science, factual history, equity of opportunity, and teaching them how to think and not what to think.
Stop indoctrinating our children. Stop teaching our children to hate the police. Stop teaching our children that if they don't agree with the LGBT community, that they're homophobic. You have no idea each child's life. You don't know what their family lifestyle consists of. You don't know the makeup of their life. You have children like mine who is Muslim, and I'm Christian. And everyone would think, they would never believe that of her, right? Because the way she looks, or according to Miss Cyrus, she's too pasty white.
So when you talk about critical race theory, which is pretty much going to be teaching kids how to hate each other, how to dislike each other, it's pretty much what it's going to all come down to. You're going to deliberately teach kids, this white kid right here got it better than you because he white? You're going to purposely tell a white kid, oh, the black people are all down and suppressed. How do I have 2 medical degrees if I'm sitting here oppressed? Yeah. How do I get 2 medical degrees? No mom, no dad in the house. Worked my way through college. Sat there and hustled my butt to get through college. You going to tell me somebody that looked like all y'all white folks kept me from doing that?
The argument against, or for, the argument for teaching critical race theory, all these people are saying, well, you don't want to teach your kids about racism? Well, I wasn't taught critical race theory in school. And you think I don't know about slavery or the history of slavery or Juneteenth? You think I don't know that stuff? I mean, it's just nonsense. That it's critical race theory is not slavery education. It's non-truth history. And if you want to teach a critical race theory class in an upper secondary education or as a college course or a series of college courses, that's one thing. But this isn't a critical race theory class. This is an indoctrination across all entire, curriculum in all of public schools. So it's not something to be taken lightly. This is very important. It's why all these parents are speaking out against it. And it just doesn't affect those people. It affects all of society, considering we all go through that education system. And if you are paying taxes, whether or not you have kids in the school system, you are funding this type of education. So you may want to pay attention. Something else that, we have talked about in the whole education system is the whole mask policy in school with kids. Now, we know scientifically that children aren't affected by the COVID-19 like adults are, or even just older children, where we're talking about 16 to 20 years old. So it's been a big conversation about whether there should be masking in school or not, regardless of vaccine implementation. So there was this article that popped up this week about testing. There was this group of parents that wanted to really know how dangerous these masks are to students. So in this article, I'll read it here. There's a laboratory testing reveals more reasons not to wear masks against COVID because there are dangerous pathogens. And we'll read it down through this article. Due to concerns about the potential risks masks bring to school children who wear them throughout the school day, a group of Florida parents submitted their children's face coverings to a laboratory for examination. This laboratory was at the University of Florida, and it was their mass spectrometry research and education center, and it revealed that five of the 6 masks tested housed with a wide variety of germs, with 3 of the masks infected with dangerous pathogenic and pneumonia-causing bacteria. I wish that it would have been a wider spread test, because I just don't feel like this small test is I don't know. It's not good enough. We need more data for it. But we'll read on through the article. On the mass, the 11 dangerous pathogens are responsible for diseases like pneumonia, tuberculosis, meningitis, sepsis, food poisoning from E. coli, diphtheria, Lyme disease, and UTI. Why was that on their face? According to Rational Ground, interesting. Half of the masks had been infected with one or more types of pneumonia-causing bacteria. 1/3 of the samples tested positive for one or more types of the bacterium that causes meningitis, while another 1/3 was found to contain microorganisms that were hazardous and antibiotic resistant in nature. Interesting. Of course, there were also a number of less hazardous pathogens discovered, including pathogens that may cause a variety of symptoms, such as fever, ulcers, acne, yeast infections, strep throat, periodontal disease, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and others, of course. The masks examined were new or freshly washed. Get that? The masks examined were new, brand new, or freshly washed before being worn for 5 to 8 hours by youngsters ranging in age from 6 to 11. So that is the age group. I believe we're still not giving vaccinations out to, I believe at this moment, not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure. One of them, of course, was also worn by an adult. There were controls, of course, because in any scientific experimentation, there's got to be controls. The controls included a t-shirt worn by one of the youngsters at the school and a mask that had not been worn. So those are your controls, and the controls were determined to be free of all pathogens. The findings of Dr. Patrick Grant, a microbiologist at the Florida Atlantic University, confirmed that unwashed face masks do accumulate harmful bacteria, whereas Dr. Rosanna Rosa, an infectious disease specialist, said that there were no risk of pneumonia transmission because of accumulated infective particles on the facial masks. But the risk of transmission that happens when students remove and reapply their face masks many times during the school day to eat and drink was not addressed. But given the result of the lab test, the buildup of dangerous bacteria should presumably enhance the likelihood of children becoming ill as a result to that exposure. So there you have it. Maybe wearing these masks in the way that we are not such a good idea. These masks, these disposable masks here, such as these, were made to be worn once, and once touched to be thrown away into the garbage. So great for the environment. The cloth masks that are reusable, rewashable, are assumed not to be as effective as these. So, take that for what you will. Point is that, these things weren't made. They were not made to be used in this way, but we did. With that, we got a new sponsor. We got a new sponsor coming this week. North Face, check it out.
North Face is truly an extraordinary customer of the oil and gas industry. I'm Chris Wright, CEO of Liberty Energy. North Face recently came out against my industry, even refusing to let one of my competitors put their company logo on a North Face jacket. I went through North Face's website of wide-ranging products, and I failed to find a single product that wasn't made out of oil and gas. The great majority of North Face's products, jackets, backpacks, outdoor pants, shirts, shoes, hats, etc., are dominantly made out of the oil and gas that we so proudly produce. Globally, 60% of all clothing fibers are made out of oil and gas. For North Face, it is likely 90% or more, simply because they make premium, high-performance products. But our customer relationship goes much further than simply supplying North Face with copious raw material. Their vast manufacturing, distribution, and retailing networks are also large consumers of gasoline, diesel, natural gas, propane, jet fuel, etc. But heck, I could say that about any manufacturing company. Perhaps they went the extra mile with those outdoor natural gas and propane fireplaces at headquarters and the private jet terminal. Again, many others check those boxes. Where North Face does go the extra mile is their focus on the outdoor industry, an industry which only came into existence because of oil and gas. Without the enormous leap in human wealth and health catalyzed by the arrival of oil and gas, there was no spare time or wealth necessary to pursue such luxury endeavors as outdoor sports. Escaping the modern world to the great outdoors typically begins with modern energy and transportation, whether by car, bus, train, or plane. Our outdoor choices keep expanding because we now have all these fabulous outdoor toys made of oil and gas, like skis, snowboards, wakeboards, bikes, kayaks, canoes, sailboats, hot air balloons, climbing gear, ropes, etc. We can spend days in the outdoors with our lightweight backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, cooking with our camp or backpacking stoves. Climbing the world's highest mountains wasn't even imagined before oil and gas, for all the reasons that I've already mentioned. Plus, there is no water high on mountains. Fortunately, we can carry canisters of white gas or other petroleum fuels to melt snow off glaciers for drinking water and cooking, even at 26,000 feet elevation. I could go on and on about the beauty of wilderness, the joy of being in the backcountry, the character-building experiences made possible, the team adventures, and serenity of the great outdoors, all only possible thanks to oil and gas. So North Face is not only an extraordinary customer of the oil and gas industry, they are also a partner with the oil and gas industry in bringing the great outdoors within reach of so many. So thank you, North Face, and you're welcome. Onward and upward.
Yes, thank you, North Face, for being our new sponsor. We love you. Thanks for joining the club. Before we wrap everything up, I want to talk about the attempted coup that took place within the Libertarian Party this week. For those of you that do not know, the Libertarian Party is a political party, just like the Republicans, just like the Democrats. There's a Libertarian Party. It's national. All states have their own groups, and all the groups are led by a chair for the states, and then of course you have a national chair, all that stuff, just like any other political party. Well, this week, there was an attempted coup within the Libertarian Party, specifically in the state of New Hampshire, the live free or die state of all states to take place. This is where this took place. I guess it makes sense. The Libertarian Party has become a stale organization with a bunch of do-nothing, just woke nonsense. And that's not what the Libertarian Party is for. The Libertarian Party is for freedom. The government should not be interfering in the citizens' freedom, and that is what the Libertarian Party is there for. But they have not been doing their job. So there's been this influx of members into the Libertarian Party, specifically within the Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party, and the main base was not too happy about that. So the chair of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire decided to attempt to basically completely restart a new Libertarian Party inside of New Hampshire, completely stealing all the data and whatnot and property of the Libertarian Party inside New Hampshire with the blessing of the LNC chair, Joe Bishop Henchman. So this coup was like endorsed by the chairman of the whole entire party. And this attempt is nonsense. Why would you? This is just as corrupt as the government that we have. Why would you guys be doing this? This doesn't make any sense. But that's what happened. And because this is criminal, and these people, most likely would have ended up in jail and still might, who knows, with, a pending litigation. I don't know how this is going to go because it's still an ongoing thing. But basically, I believe Friday, this kind of was mostly resolved because, everything just kind of stopped. They gave everything back, control of the organization back to the actual party of New Hampshire. And of course, the chair of the LNC, Joe Bishop Henchman, resigned his post as the chair, which will leave control of the party to go to the vice chair, at least temporarily, if not permanently. And of course, there's a convention taking place. I think this is 21 next year for the chair, and of course, the Mises Caucus has their candidate that they want to have win that. The whole point is just to drum up more support and for the Libertarian Party. But this is a mess. We still have no idea. There's still things that could happen. Like I said, there could be pending litigation. People could be going to jail for this. I mean, this is criminal. These are criminal acts. You're talking about stealing data and giving access to that to people who aren't authorized to it. So, I mean, this is stuff that the Libertarian Party does not need, especially if they're going to be on the national stage presenting presidential candidates to, run the country and the free world. So I don't know what you guys were thinking. Probably, I mean, it's obvious that you weren't. But with that, we're going to wrap this podcast up. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, if you like what you see here on this podcast, please click the like button. Please subscribe to this channel. We've got, videos all the time. We got videos every Sunday at 12. We post this podcast. And I think this week we're going to post another video on Wednesday. So, thank you for joining me. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Godspeed.